So I am really excited to introduce Dan. I have known Dan for quite a few years at a distance, and I was at a birthday party last fall, and he was there too, and we got into a conversation with led to another conversation with led to another. And he's a direct mail veteran going back 32 years. And he's going to be talking to you about how branding and direct response go together. And that was one kind of a conversation in the 1990s. In the age of social media, it's another kind of conversation because a person like Joe Rogan or Lex Fridman is as much a brand as they are a direct response kind of a thing. And there's a 2020s version of branding that a lot of people get caught up in, and they get chewed up and they get spit out. And you can burn enormous amounts of energy, trying to be the social media star. And Dan is about making sure that you pay your way all the way through it. Dan has built and sold two companies. He was for quite a while, he was tell me if I've got this right, essentially the coordinator of Joe Polish's Genius Network.
Yeah, fractional CEO, CMO. Yes.
And that's no small accomplishment. Joe Polish is a very astute guy, very respected in this business. And I wanted to get him here talking to you about what he knows best. And Dan, I just want to turn the floor over to you and we'll banter back and forth about this, but welcome to Renaissance Club.
It's a privilege, Perry. Thank you. And as you guys are here, part of Perry's community, I'm just curious, how many of you are going to be going to the definitive AI training coming up? Can you type yes in the chat window for me? I'm just curious who's going to be there. If you can type yes in the chat window, Frank and Chuck, Chuka, Jackie, awesome. Yes, Jamie, awesome. That's great. And I hope by the time I'm done today, that some of you that are on the fence, or maybe you haven't committed to be there yet, that you actually will say, I have to be there. I must be there. I can't afford to miss it. And it'll make more sense as we get through this today. Now, another question I've got for you really quickly, because in Perry's world, you're all professional at business, and I know there's all kinds of unique backgrounds here. So I want you to do me a favor and rate your marketing right now. 1 is low and 10 is high. Where would you say you rate on a 1, low, 10, high? If you can type that in the chat window, just to give some perspective of how I can direct this. My goal over the next 14 hours of content is to make sure you get the very best in information as we go through. So 3s and 4s and 8. Melissa, great to see you. That's amazing. I know, Melissa. That's awesome. So a couple 9s. All right. Jackie, awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's dive into direct response branding with what we're doing here. So direct response branding is taking two polar opposites that many would say can't coexist and bringing them together. We're going to show you a methodology and a model to be able to do that, because let's face it, maybe some of you feel like some of your marketing is like this. If some of you can relate to your marketing feeling like you're an octopus on roller skates, can you type yes for me? I'm just curious if this connects to you at all, because having worked with so many clients and also in our own stuff over the years, that it can sometimes feel like this. We're trying to juggle all of these things. Or anybody that might be of age, like maybe Perry and ours. I don't know if you remember playing a game like Risk as a kid, but if you remember Risk, and if you haven't played Risk, no big deal. You could probably relate to the octopus on skates. But there was a game Risk, and then you had all these military things going on. And most of the time, the military installations were very disjointed and fragmented, if you can relate and identify with that. But like, what would happen if we could actually bring all of those separate component units, fragmented legs on skates, all together in a uniform way? How would that shift the game for you, especially as it relates to how you grow your business, right? So today is all about this framework of direct response branding. bringing these things together simply and effectively. There's a great quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes. He says, I wouldn't give a fig to be on this side of complexity. I'd give my life to be on this side of simplicity. So we want to take you from here. And by the way, I believe that we're going to open this up, time permitting, for a Q&A session at the very end. So I encourage you to stick around. Who is this for? It's for founders, CEOs, artists, rebels, black sheeps, pioneers, artists, oddballs, and those looking to grow more with less, which, you know, Perry's the best in the world at being able to show you and me and all of us how to be able to do some of that. We typically find in a group like this that there's 4 types of businesses. There's those that are, we'll say A is between 0 and $1 million in revenue, B between 1 and 3 million in revenue, C 3 to 10 million, and then 10 million and much, much higher. So could you do me a favor just for my own sanity? Could you type whether you're A, up to 1 million, B, 1 to 3, and just type B, C, 3 to 10, or D, 10 mil plus, just so I have a good idea as well of where to kind of shape shift some of the things that we're going to go through. Okay, this is what I figured. And some of you are really crushing it at 10 million. And even if you're doing 10 million plus or 50 million or 100 million, there's going to be something to help make what you do even better too. So our agenda for today is we're going to cover the 5 pillars for exponential growth and cash flow, discover the strategies used by the most successful companies in the world like Apple, Microsoft, Nike, Disney, the NFL. I don't know how many of you were into the Super Bowl, but imagine being able to build your own media business where you could get people paying you. I believe it was, $16 million for 60 seconds, give or take, right? Now, obviously, that may or may not ever happen. It's a theoretical example, but it's a business doing it. And we're going to show you how to apply a lot of the same principles in your business too. In fact, it's been documented over 4,000 companies that we've reviewed internally, including those big companies where we've gotten access to things to identify what makes them tick, what doesn't. The most important investment for 2024, key insights to shorten your sales cycle, enhance your cash flow. Ideally, that's important for you. And ideally, it will become more important, especially compared to your competition, because you're going to be doing things if you apply even part of what we show you today, if not all of it, in addition to what Perry is making available to you, man, you're going to be on fire. The Hollywood growth strategy, how to decrease your workload while increasing your enjoyment, how to redefine your strategy, learn why traditional direct response marketing, sales, and branding are outdated and what you need to be doing right now instead. How to experience more buying. How many of you hate to be sold? How many of you realize more and more consumers are more savvy than ever, and they also hate to be sold by hypey salesmanship? Would you all agree? Right? This is going to become very, very important as well in this process. And then also how to focus on a system to feel like you're on a fragmented island and then come together in a uniform way, more like a system. So the first thing we got to do is stop. I want to encourage you to stop doing traditional marketing. And you'll understand why in just a second, because we all are facing at least 4 traps. And these are 4 traps at a few different levels. First are failure traps, right? Those are common. We try something, it doesn't work. Success trap. Sometimes success track happens to be, for example, we get a little bit of comfort. And now because we're comfortable, we don't actually innovate. We don't actually adapt. We don't actually go to that next level. So a lot of what we're going to show you today is going to be about how you can go to that next level. I like to draw these squiggly things on my screen, by the way. Third trap, hidden traps. Some of us can be so close to our business, the answer is right in front of us and we just don't see it. It's kind of like, I don't know, I had this situation with my kids earlier today where they were looking for some keys and they were sitting right on the thing and they were looking around, where are the keys? I'm sure you've been through this. Looking around. I'm like, Kyler, the keys are right there. Yes, my son's name is Kyler too, Kyler. It's spelled a little different, but same name.
I have looked for my cell phone while talking on my cell phone.
Yes, exactly. We've all been there, right? So, and then the other big trap is I already know that trap, right? And so with that in mind, a couple of the traps that are real for all of us right now. Maybe you're working harder, but not making more. Maybe you're worried about the economy and a lot of the shifts and the election and all these different things and a looming recession, or even worse, quietly suffering due to industry shifts and AI. I don't know. How many of you have gotten a little bit derailed with all the stuff going on in AI? I'm just curious. I know in Perry's group, this might be minimized a lot, But in other groups we talk to, like it's run rapid, where the rabbit hole chasing shiny objects has just gotten completely out of control. And after 6 months or a year, some people are like, oh, I need to get back to business. Anybody relate to that? If you can you type yes? I'm just curious. Maybe not in this group as much. I don't see that popping in. Anyway, all right. Another couple traps. Some people view marketing actually as an expense, and for good reason, because maybe they just haven't connected the dots and taken fragmented island, brought it together. Cash flow reserves are getting tighter. They're following outdated models, not allocating 8 to 15% of your top line revenue to marketing, which is a big mistake, especially right now. This is a time to outgrow your competition and do it strategically in a smart way. And then also, it creates a choke on your ability to grow. And then even worse, traditional marketing is dead. So a quick question I've got for, if you want to type it in the chat window, I'd love to just see your definition. What is marketing? It's amazing, because if you actually go on you go on Google and type in what is marketing, or the definition of marketing, there's so many variable definitions. And so we're going to give you a new way maybe to think about marketing, maybe that you've thought of or hadn't thought of or whatever, somewhere in the middle. And again, you're in one of the best ecosystems, one of the best platforms, one of the best communities in the entire world related to it. And I'll break a couple potential things, traps getting in the way. So marketing. What if marketing was simply the story of your business or you? It was storytelling. Or what if marketing was, Joe Polish has a great definition of marketing. He says, it's what you do to get clients on the phone or face-to-face with you, so they're pre-qualified, predisposed, pre-interested, and pre-ready and ready to do business with you. That's marketing. What if it was that? And then how many of you look at marketing maybe and go, okay, I have to do this thing, versus you get to do this thing. Or I have to do this to clients. I have to do this to get clients. And I know with Perry's work, this will probably really connect with you, because for most people outside of your world, most people think marketing is what you do to clients or to get clients. The new model with marketing done right, with direct response branding, is that it's what you do for your clients, what you get to do for your clients. It's not a burden, it's a responsibility, it's a gift. And like, what if you shifted the game? And so some of these little subtle nuances, again, everything we're going to talk about is all about helping you get more new leads, more new appointments, more new clients every single day as you build exponential growth, escape the traps of your business. And with that, part of this is that the unlearning is the highest form of learning. Unlearning is more important than learning, because you probably already have the frameworks. It's now taking maybe some of these fragmented things and really getting laser focused, like Rumi says. So we're going to introduce you to the 5 pillars in the new model for exponential business growth. And rather than tease you about all these things, I'm just going to show it to you right here, right now. The first key step, in assessing over 4,000 companies, we found almost 100% that we go to and say, hey, do you have like a marketing plan blueprint for your business? And most of the time, almost 100%, we work with some of the biggest names in the world. It's shocking. They go, yeah, well, it's all up here in my head. It's not formalized. We don't have it laid out. We don't have our vision laid out. It's all up here. So number one is getting a clear vision and growth plan for your business. Number two are what are called connection campaigns. You know, we're not in the B2B business. You're not in the B2B business. You're not in the B2C business. I think Brian Kurtz said it first 20 years ago. I heard him say, we're in the P2P business. We're in the people to what? You know the answer probably. People to people business. Human being business. You know, Sam Woods at the last Definitive AI conference, and if you missed it, oh my gosh, it was amazing. He talked about how humanizing, and almost everybody talked about how humanizing the experience, we call it HOP, humanize, optimize, personalize, is so critically important for your future. This second step, most companies are missing that are struggling. The great companies have connection campaigns. What does it do from a human level? It's like romance and advance at different journey levels in the client journey. It's about connecting with people, bonding with people. The third key layer are building lead machines. How would your business change if you had more new leads, 5, 10, 15, whatever it is for you? We've had clients grow to over 10,000 leads every single day. Building lead machines, consistently, predictability with a system, not some fragmented octopus on roller skates. Number 4 is education-based conversion events. And I want to take out some misunderstandings or myths around this. It's not just webinars. It's a variety of conversion events that can be done, like it could be a video. I had the ability to sell companies by using video. It wasn't a webinar, it was just a video that outlined certain things. We've done this with client work. We've done this with sales organizations, education-based conversion event. Now there's about 25 different strategies for each of these, and we're going to cover a couple to get you going. Number 5 is go deep, right? I don't know how many of you suffer from, a situation where it's easy to go wide and it's easy to chase. So this type of platform, like if you adapt this with everything you're already getting with Perry's community and layer it on top, what ends up happening is it's like being laser focused, and you can go deep. It's more optimal to scale. It's more optimal to connect. It's more optimal to be able to productize, and a whole lot more. So let's dive into each one of these separately. Are you getting some value so far? If you are, can you type yes for me in the chat window? Really quick, just want to see yes. All right. We're just really scratching the surface, but ideally, by the way, Perry, if you're okay with it, Kyler, if you're okay with it, I'd like to actually just send everybody these slides as well. So you can take notes. Of course, that's a great way to, activate the mind in action taking versus passively taking in info. But separately, I want to get you the slides so that you can also connect the dots as well. All right. So I want to give
yes,
those.
please.
All right. You got it. All right. So let's start with the vision and growth plan. Now, there's a lot to each of these. There's literally 20, sometimes as many as over 100 different data points that we're looking at measuring in what we do. So I'm going to give you some of what we feel are the very most important that for most will change your game. So for example, when's the last time you sat down and really clarified your vision in writing? In other words, the why behind what you're doing, right? And I encourage you even do a little self-assessment. You don't have to type anything in the chat window here on these 8 elements. But each of the 8, you might go, 1 is a low, what I've got now, up to 5, and then put some focus into some of the areas that might be critical for you. Now, I just realized that I'm not sharing my screen, so I'm going to pull this up. So the vision and why, right? Next is we call it the beyond the avatar. It's one thing to have an avatar. It's another thing to go deep 360. Psychographics, empathy map, characteristics, competitor analysis, and the list goes on and on. I just want to cover this, but it's the who. Who are you called to serve at the highest level? Dan Sullivan has a great quote. He says, who do you want to be a hero to? Who are you a hero to? And who do you want to be a hero to? That clarity goes deep. And again, rate yourself. Again, you have to type it in a chat, but 1 is low right now, up to a 5. And then again, you can decide by just doing a little bit of Socratic assessment. Number 3 is models. What are the models to ultimately get you into the path of the client through your client journey? I'm going to cover the client journey here in just a second. It might blow your mind as a new way to be thinking about how marketing, sales, fulfillment ties together. But models, what is it? Number 4, your unique MO. So Perry has one of the best differentiation trainings. Ours is unique as well, but they complement each other so well. So we call this the unique MO, the unique mode of operation for how you're going to show up and deliver your promise to your client. 4 levels deep. We'll cover a little bit of that as an example today too. ICO, irresistible core offers, right? This is usually where we find most people between number 3, 4, and 5 have a little bit of a sticking point. They're stuck. They're trapped. Too close to it. And sometimes they need to work with people who can help pull some of that out. Obviously, Perry's tool, the Swiss Army knife strategy and many others that he's got will allow you. Definitive marketing AI coming up. I mean, you get in a room like that, you can't help but elevate to, all kinds of crazy level. Irresistible core offer. How would your business change if you really had an irresistible core offer that didn't require it to be sold so much, but people bought into it? That's the difference. Apple, they have a buying model, not a selling model. The NFL has a buying model, not a selling model. What if you had more of a buying model instead of a selling model? You can structure it intentionally. We're going to show you how to do that today. Your org chart. The org chart or accountability chart, depending which preference you like, will set you free. Because usually you can look at an org chart and identify where your strengths and weaknesses are related to your growth in your business, your marketing, your sales, your revenue, top line stuff, by just looking at the org chart. It's amazing what you can see, the truth and also What's missing? What will need to be done to make it work? Next is a client journey. How your clients decide. How are they deciding? And again, I'm going to give you a new way to be thinking about the client journey. And I would encourage you to take what we show you in this slide and match it up against any product or service that you've got and kind of take through where are they at? Where are they dropping off? Where are they coming in? We do this a client by design type scenario many, many times. And then lastly is the financial engineering. Another big common thing we've seen almost 100% when we say, hey, what do you expect your benchmarks to be to pay per lead, per appointment, per call, per webinar registration, per client for whatever it is you're selling it. Most people, they're in the dark. And if they're in the dark on those things on the front end of the benchmarks, how can they ever know what their long-term value is? Right. So again, if you look at these 8 dimensions, and we've got another 100 actually that we work with clients to assess, rate those 8 and look at where you're weak, where you're strong. And I would encourage you, look at doubling down where you're strong, but then find 1 or 2 that you're weak in and go, how can I go to the who in Perry's community can you go to help solve that for you? I promise you in his network, you've got access. Now, we don't have time actually just looking at where I'm at right now in the time. So we have this process called the Wheel of Marketing, which is the extended version of what we've covered, where we rate, these 10 core elements, and then the Wheel of Momentum, where we also rate these 10 different elements. And, when you come back to the slides, or if you just took a picture, again, do your own assessment and identify, what do I have to do to make this just 1 notch better, 2 notches? You'd be amazing. And you know this. I learned this from Pat Riley reading about the dynamics of the Los Angeles Lakers years ago. And if you're not into sports, I apologize. I'm also a coach. I coach youth football. I coach high school football until I took this year off as a break with some family stuff. And what's amazing is like incremental improvements in critical areas gives you exponential growth. An easier, maybe another way to look at it is like you take a penny, double it every day. What happens? You know the answer. Like in 30 some days, you've got like tens of millions of dollars. Incremental to create exponential. That's what can be done when you put some attention here. So I want to cover models. So this was one of those 8 and one of our 100 plus that we cover, but models. You probably know this. You're the big 3 of where the rubber meets the road and there's massive opportunity. Perry's, as some of you may know, is involved in doing something prolific to change the world with cancer research and some of the new precursors and leading indicators that can help save lives, save people. I mean, just amazing, right? Health is one of those big ones. It's a billions and billions of dollars in all 3 of these: financial, relationships, health. So whatever you're doing, ideally you're in those 3 or subcategories of those 3. And whatever you're in, then here's what I want you to do. You can take all the noise and be in that octopus on thing or be in a fragmented island. I'm going to really get you to really tune in here. Really tune in here, because this is where sometimes we see that people are so caught up in all these tactics instead of principles or instead of strategy that it's easy to lose focus. Now, again, you're one of the best communities in the world, so you're probably better than almost most places we go to share any of this type of stuff. So the first step to take is identify what problem do you solve, and start there with any campaign, any email, any message, any video, anything that you're going to put out in front of somebody. Start here. What's the problem this solves for my client or potential? Realize the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. Number 2, we call this the unique MO. Perry's got some of the best training in the world on differentiation. So whether you use his or ours or a combination, or use them both kind of as, co-pilots together, where it can be like, popcorn popping, that's your choice. But it's in our version, we have 4 layers. And I'm going to just give you a quick example. And as you go through this, ideally, you can make some notes for yourself. So the unique market, the unique message, the unique method of how you fulfill the promise, and the unique offer. So the market, who do you serve? Who are you a hero to? Who are you called to serve? Right? Get clear on the who. Number 2 is the message. What is it you can say that only you can say the way you say it? That's your unique message. Number 3, the unique method. How do you deliver that promise to fulfill that message in a unique way? And I'm going to give you an example here in a second that may connect the dots even faster and easier. And then lastly is your offer. And ideally, Dan Sullivan has a great quote, a strategic coach. He says, if you name the game, you own the game. The name of your offer ideally also has the solution. Like, how many of you can figure out what the definitive traffic AI seminar is about? And I might have the title a little off, and I apologize for that. However, you probably can tell it's related to traffic and AI, and likely what is it going to do? If you incorporate it properly, you're going to get more business. You're going to grow. You're going to get more new clients. You're going to get more new leads, and you're going to be tapping into the wisdom that Perry has curated forever to be able to give you the most cutting edge available information. So you're ahead of the game. In his emails recently, you've been hearing about, you've got this window of time to be able to capitalize in the next 12 to 15, 18 months. I might have it a little bit off, but I think that's about what Perry's talking. And you do. That's the truth. You and I are at the greatest time in human history. The greatest time in human history. Why? Because you and I, especially companies that are under $50 million a year, can be like speedboats with a lot of this stuff. Whereas your bigger companies, they're more like aircraft carriers, and they get, they make a left turn. It takes them 6 months to make that left turn. You can take these tools that Perry's making available, the wisdom that he's making available, and outdo your competition pretty effectively. So with that, let me give you a quick example of a unique MO in action. So one of the companies we assessed is a company, when they started, they got in the coffee industry. And what ended up happening was, they could have done what a lot of people do in their markets, right? There's a tendency that, like, when we get a new product or a new service, who's it for? Who's our market? Everybody. And this client could have done that because it's a multi-billion dollar industry in coffee, but he did it. And he said, okay, what's this? Our assessment. He says, what is our unique market? Fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee. No one had ever done that up to that point that we know of. Fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee. Now, notice the simplicity in the who. It's only a handful of words. It's almost impossible to be misunderstood, right? Fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee. Number 2, the unique message. What is it he could say that only he could say? Get fit drinking coffee. Well, I don't know about you, but did you even know you could get fit drinking coffee? Now, maybe you know now because it's become more. I didn't know that, but like, I don't drink coffee. And when I heard the message and what he was offering, I was like, oh, I'm curious. And I did try it, and I didn't like the taste of any coffee. So I still don't drink coffee. At any rate, took someone low awareness, low care, but the message was so powerful. It tempted me, non-coffee drinker, to be like, oh, I'd like to learn more about that. But then it still tasted a little bit too much like normal coffee to me. So that is what it is. Unique method. Unique method. What was his unique method? Well, add grass-fed butter to the coffee, which he didn't invent it. He didn't invent it. He didn't create it initially, other than some unique properties later. In fact, it had been around for thousands and thousands of years through different tribes and different, over the years. Add grass-fed butter to the coffee. He made it mainstream. He named his game. He claimed it. He claimed the name, and he started marketing it with this unique method. Now, lots of companies have now knocked it off. Now, you might know the company I'm talking about. They grew to over $100 million a year. The founder and CEO is someone you may know. He's been around our circles for some time. His name's Dave Asprey. And he's also removed himself, I believe, from the CEO day-to-day operations and really just a big ambassador of the business. And he's multiplied now into all kinds of different services, all kinds of different products, all kinds of different, off the back of something like this. So how about you? What's your unique market? Who's the who that is so simple, like fitness enthusiasts who drink coffee? Who is your message for? Your message, what pain do you eliminate, or what benefit do you give? In his case, get fit drinking coffee. What is your pain you eliminate? That's so simple, it's impossible to misunderstand. What's your unique delivery, right? Now, for example, we are going through a 5-step framework. The 5 steps, the 5 pillars of direct response branding. That's intentional. That is the unique method of how we deliver the promise to get more leads, more new appointments, more new clients every single day, and escape the traps of the business related to the framework of direct response branding. How about you? Dave Asprey with Bulletproof Coffee, the name of his offer, right? And then lastly, what is your unique offer? So I encourage you to take action, and ideally you're catching this, and again, you can come back, get the slides, and go through the exercise. When you do this right, if you've ever felt like the world's best kept secret, this is a way that you can stand out from the crowd, and you will be unique. Your story will be different. You will be able to do this third part, which is premium prices, because what will happen is you will no longer be commoditized like a normal coffee business. In their case, they're unique. They're different, as Perry teaches with, the different tools that he's made available. High margins, high growth, it becomes far more scalable. And then that leads ideally to a delivery system that can be duplicated, replicated, and also scaled up. And to be able to do that, we don't have enough time to be able to go through it, but I want to introduce you to the idea with any system you create in your business. Ideally, you've got the 3Ds attached to it, which is document it, duplicate it, delegate it. Document it, duplicate it, delegate it. That makes it far more systematized. Also, the ability to innovate. Warren Buffett's rule in his company, apparently, if you've read any of his biographies, says, I have one main rule if you work for me, and that is you must checklist what you do. That way, when someone takes your place or you move up or whatever, we've got basically a checklist to follow. It's a system, but it's also adaptable because different people will operate different things. You know, you give a script or an outline or a checklist to, I don't know, Tom Cruise. Maybe you hate him, maybe you love him, I don't know. But you give him a checklist, guess what? He's going to adapt it to him, just like you will adapt this to you, just like your team will adapt it to them. Allow your team to use their superpowers in addition to be a multiplier to your systems. And that makes it far more scalable. So this is an introduction to the new model of exponential business growth, direct response branding. And so a question I have for you, are you getting some good info? Are you guys getting some good things? And Jade, you were absolutely right. It's bulletproof. Bulletproof Coffee, Dave Asprey. Are you getting some good insights? Do me a favor, jot down just a couple takeaways you've gotten up to this point. Couple takeaways you've gotten up to this point. Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right. So what is the new model for exponential business growth? Okay. Direct response branding. And let's dive into this question. What's trust worth for your business, for your clients, doing what you do? HOP is humanize, optimize, personalize. Glenn, there you go. Humanize it, optimize it, personalize it. What's trust worth? What's trust? So HOP, you could tie in here with trust. It's a great place to be able to do that, Glenn. Trust. This is what we're talking about in all phases of your business, not as a tactic, but as an overarching principle-based model in the before journey, the during unit, and also the post-purchase journey, which we'll talk about in a second. So let's define a couple of these things real quick. Direct response marketing, Dan Kennedy, right? An icon and a legend, messaging that evokes an immediate response that compels somebody to take action, right? Also, we all know probably by now that it can be measured and it's trackable to identify the costs and the outcomes specifically. Put in X, get out Y kind of thing. Branding, on the other hand, is the unique and memorable identity. What's your identity? What's your company's identity? Do you have one? Have you thought through that way? You know, coaching high school football, one of the things is our teams, each of our teams, even youth football, has an identity. Some teams are spread it out. We throw it around. Some teams are ground and pound, like hand the ball off and run. And for some of you ladies in the room, you're like, oh my God, what the hell are you talking about, Dan? And I'm with you. So I'm going to make sure we can connect the dots for you here separately. But what's the identity, right? What is the identity? Are you clear on your business identity? Have you taken the time to be able to do that? The story, the feelings that your product, service, and or company, or all of them emanates or communicates to your clients. Like, what is the one, in fact, write this down right now. What is the one feeling that you feel most represents the thing, the deliverable you give your clients? Is it freedom? Is it certainty? Is it confidence? Is it clarity? Is it adventure? Is it, personal power? Is it direction? Is it contribution? Make an impact, make a difference. What is it? Is it significance? What are some of the powerful emotional, one word that describes the impact you have as a company, your deliverables? So you can start to get clear. This is where branding can really change the game. So coming back to a baseline, marketing is what you do for your audience and for your clients. Branding is what you do for connection, bonding, and building trust with your audience and clients. So therefore, what is direct response branding? It's a method focused on what you do for your audience, for your audience, for your audience, stimulating an action while also building what? Trust, strengthening the story, identity, feelings, and connection, bringing the two together. You can marry the two together and it gives you an ultimate competitive advantage. So ideally, I'm curious. So certainty, control, knowledge. I love these, Melissa, Michael. Thank you. Any other feelings that you have what is the overarching most powerful one out of all of them that your company really think through what that is? And then what you can do is go to each of your products or services and do the same thing. And then start reverse engineering from here. So why does direct response branding work? Now, again, we reviewed over 4,000 companies to identify what's working, what's not. And we found these 5 core elements. Some of our client rosters included people like this guy here, Bill Rasmussen, the founder of ESPN, Dean Graziosi, before he became super famous, Joe Polish, Janet Atwood, Vern Harnish, and Daniel Marcos, who are business partners, and many, many others. And people sometimes ask us, does this really scale this framework? Our clients have exceeded $1.2 billion in counting in their results, right? So why is now the time for this methodology, direct response branding? The old way of going about it is more like hunting. You know what I'm talking about in marketing, right? And I know, again, if you're in Perry's world and you're applying what he's showing you, you've moved beyond this, and this will make a lot of sense to you. The old way is transactional. The old way is, the blowhard that speaks and talks the loudest, the fastest is the one who wins. That's the old way. The new way, it's operating more like we're planting seeds. It's more relationship driven. It's also based on trust, and done right. Trust actually leads to conversion. And it's like a fire, like this match that I've got here. You might be wondering, oh, Dan, why are you holding this match? And I just realized that you can't see me here for a second. So let me turn me back on. I'm going to bring it up so you see that I'm here. So this match, why is this match important? If I light this match, and let's say I have a fireplace over there, I can sit here and have 500 matches, light it, throw it in the fireplace, and we can spray and pray that we're going to get a lead. I mean, get that fire started and see what happens. Oh, I'm going to run that Facebook ad. Oh, I'm going to run that YouTube ad. Oh, I'm going to run that thing, with no overarching principle-based model or strategy or pillars. On the other hand, the new way is to light this match, and I can set this piece of paper on fire. Get it going. And then I can put kindling on top. We got a vision and growth plan. We've got kindling that we just lit, or a piece of paper we just lit, the foundation. And then we've got kindling we're putting on top. These are the next step, connection campaigns. And we put branches on top, and these are lead machine campaigns. And then we've got the education-based events. And now we can set a log on top of it. What happens? That fire will burn for days without any real other need behind it, because we're building a fire from the bottom up instead of just throwing matches at logs hoping to catch a fire, right? Separately, if we look at the client journey, and again, we have a limited time to cover this, but I encourage you to look. How many of you have heard the idea that to get people to buy from you, and this is very controversial, but bear with me the whole thing before you have the trap that steps in, oh, I already know that, and no, that's not true. Get the whole picture first. How many of you have ever heard that to get people to buy from you, they must know you, like you, and trust you? How many have heard that? If you have, say yes. Okay. I know I've been taught that for a long, long time. And about 15 years ago, we started testing different. And here's a question I have for you. How many of you bought something off of Amazon that you didn't know yet whether you liked the person or people behind it yet? You just bought the thing that solved your problem. Think about that. So the other thing we've done is surveys. Crazy enough, this is, it gets into my brain just a little bit in my heart space. I'm fascinated and curious about things, so I love to survey and I love to ask, especially people that are part of all kinds of different communities. And I go, hey, how many of you are people pleasers? And a lot of times with entrepreneurial audiences, founders, CEOs, the creative types, the artist types, etc., it runs rapid, the people pleasers. And they go, okay, well, could it be that possibly you maybe feel like the world's best kept secret? You also feel underappreciated. You also are charging too little, because you're actually building models that says, get people to know, like you. Get them to know you and like you. That's the way to do it. That's the way to success. And what if that was wrong? Bear with me. We have found that the actual way that is required to get people to buy from us in a healthy way is they must know us, respect us, and trust us. Now, I don't have to have the time to go into all the backed up science on it, but anytime let's say your son or daughter, I have a daughter who's dating, and even though I met this boy she's dating, she's 18, and I saw him for the first time, of course, I did what a parent can do sometimes. I judged him. And I didn't like the way he looked a little bit, and that's just being honest. And but I didn't say that, because I had enough respect in my daughter and her choices and the relationship at the time that I had respect ahead of anything, including trust. Usually respect comes before trust in any dynamic of a relationship. And then trust is built over time. Think about that. And ideally, we don't have time to really break it all down further. But if the model of know, like, and trust might be flawed, well, on the other hand, what if the model of get people to know you, get them to respect you, get them to trust you, know you, respect you, and trust you in that order, what if we systematically built models that did that? Do you think it's possible that the byproduct of that, they'd like you? The answer to that is yes. But it's not the requirement that so many experts have been repeating time after time after time after time after time for decades and decades and decades. At least that's been our experience. There's lots of ways to do this. This is just a way, not the only way. But I would encourage you to look at shifting your model, shifting the messaging, shifting the things you're doing to get people to know you. Because if they don't know you, they can't do business with you. Number one. Number two is get them to respect you just based on delivering value. Number three is get them to trust you. And usually that part of it's going to all happen in your marketing if you really think about it, right? The greatest businesses, this part of it is in the marketing. Then the next phase beyond they know you, they respect you, they trust you, is now they're going to dip their toe in the water and try it. They might get on a call with you, which is testing it, a consultation. They might, there's all kinds of factors, a puppy dog type thing. If they're in the car bay, like, which we have consulted in that industry. We've got demonstrations. If you've seen infomercials or studied infomercials, the model works because they are giving people a sampling or a demonstration of a way to test it before getting it. It's results in advance, right? So we can move people up through this chain, and this starts the sales process where they're starting to believe they're buying into it themselves, and then ultimately they bought into it and they finalize the purchase. Then it goes beyond this. And, I don't know about you, but like we talk to a lot of groups. I don't know, do you have an interest in exiting your business one day? Do you have an interest in acquiring funding? Do you have an interest in maybe exiting or escaping the day-to-day traps of the business or selling it one day? If any of those are true, I'd encourage you also to consider where that plays in your client journey. So many people, they go, I'm acquiring a customer, and they kind of stop there. But then there's also the fact that you want people to recommend it. You want people to reorder it. John Paul DeJoria says that, we're not in the order business, we're in the reorder business. So that fulfillment process becomes another marketing process done correctly. It's another layer of what we're talking about here in these 5 pillars. If you want to exit, ultimately, when you prepare to exit your model, you're ultimately getting a customer. So begin with the end in mind. Well, if one day even if you just want to escape it day to day and not be working in the business every day and just want to be working more on it, you exit the day to day versus just selling it. Well, what would happen if you actually started architecting what you're doing and your whole process of know, respect, trust, test it, buy it, reorder it, recommend it, and exit? How would that shift the game for you? Now, there's depth to all of these things, which ideally it's starting to expand your mind. I mean, let's face it, there are 33.1 million businesses in the country, just in the United States, 33.1. If you're in the business-to-business arena, how many do you really need to grow exponentially? There's not a bunch, right? And you start to really architect this, it starts to get exciting. Again, the 5 critical steps: vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based events, and then going deep. Now, with that in mind, we're going to hustle through these next couple steps for sake of time. Number 2, connection campaigns. I'm going to walk you through how to get in front of 100 or more highly qualified clients daily for as little as 2 cents to $7 using 2 of our favorite traffic sources, traffic and YouTube. Now, if you haven't seen the recordings of last year's definitive traffic AI from Perry, or you haven't committed to go, I hope you will do. I mean, there was a presentation by Tom Breeze. We're literally showing you how to do what we're talking about for as little as like 10, I think it was $10 a day. We do this with clients all day long, twice on Sundays, for literally $1 a day. And I'll show you a couple examples of that. The problem is most people are doing this wrong. They're running these ad campaigns, throwing matches at logs, throwing matches in the fireplace, hoping. And we wonder why it's not working, instead of stringing each of these pieces together and get them working in sync and taking these fragmented islands and bringing them together. The game changes, right? So we want to make sure that doesn't happen to you, right? Because done the way we show you, that your paid media and traffic should be free to you. And then some. It should be exponentially maximizing or multiplying, where you're getting 3, 5, 10x or more. How do you do that? Build a campfire, right? And you can do that with video views. And again, there's about 20 different strategies, but you can start with video views in something like Facebook. You can do this on YouTube. You can do this in TikTok. You can do this in almost all the platforms that are worthwhile. Why? Because it's going to help in advance build trust, respect, and goodwill. And if you think of those journey points in your client journey, Imagine being able to build additional trust, respect, and goodwill at each touch point, all the way through, even to exiting. Part of the reason I was able to sell one of the companies was because we were doing this in advance over a couple years to some potential buyers with intention. So pennies per client, it's highly targeted, and that helps. People do like you as a byproduct, but it's not the lead indicator. It's trust and the respect we talked about. Example, one of our clients, Bill Rasmussen, we did an interview here, I don't know, about 2 years ago. And we just said, well, let's see. People all the time go, does long content actually get people to watch it? We had an 18-minute video we posted with this video content running the pay-per-view campaigns. And we got hundreds of thousands of views, between 1 and 3 cents a client. And we had many people watching, over 50%, 75%, up to 90% for about $1 per person. When I was running TV ads, I don't know if any of you have experience buying TV media or radio media. We knew that 99% of it was waste, but today's technology allows me the ability to go in and target the people that are more like the people we really want, that are ideal customers, going back to the who that we talked about earlier. Here's another example of a client that we are working with, where we got them 200,000 views, building trust in advance for as little as 2 cents a view, right? We have had many cases where we'll put out a series of 4 or 5 videos, and over a course of a few months, just a couple pennies per video view in those targeted audiences, $1 to $5 a day type of campaigns per video, getting upwards of 800,000 views in a few months, right? It builds trust, it builds respect, it builds goodwill without having to do multiple posts a day. Now, on one hand, one way you can go about it, you can follow some of the experts that are out there teaching me how to be able to go out there and do like 50, 60 posts a day. If you love that method, God bless you, go do it. This is a method where literally you can get a couple content pieces created, put them on autopilot, put a little budget of $1 to $5 a day, and let the systems go to work to help you build trust, build respect, and goodwill. Which makes more sense for you? Maybe it's both. I don't know, because depending on the size, it may make both. But what would it do for your positioning, having key assets working for you like this that we're talking about? By the way, are you getting some good info here, guys? You getting some good insights? I'm curious if you could type in, what are some of your takeaways so far? Awesome. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Perry, can I get a time check just to know how long I've got? Or are we pretty good for another 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes? I don't want to go over. We're good? Okay. All right. So here's a question then. What's it costing you not having connection campaigns in place? Thank you for that comment about the football. I see how you like to mark up the screen. Yeah, it's not the neatest thing in the world. I can promise you. My English teachers and they were like, I can't read your writing. What's the deal? Thank God my team can put these slides together. What's it costing you not having connection campaigns in place for each phase of the journey? Especially on the idea of reorder, recommend, and exit. Are you putting any focus on the potential of those campaigns? If not, I'd encourage you to come back and see what you could do to fill in those gaps too. Because here's the reality. In any of the phases, low romance connection equals low sales and longer sales cycle. Want to shorten the sales cycle? Put a little bit more romance in it. It sounds pretty simple, especially because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. It's my 10-year anniversary with my current wife. And the bottom line is romance can win, especially if you're consistent at it and not a tactician. So again, step 1, vision and growth plan. Now we've covered connection campaigns. Let's go to the lead machines. And I'm going to speed this up just for respect of the platform. And Perry mentioned we had about 45 minutes or so to be able to work with. So step 3, build your campfire to get 8-15 leads a day. Some clients have done this and grown to thousands of leads a day. Again, all of you, I saw a lot of 3s and 2s and even 1s in the marketing side of things. So you have the ability. Here's the best part. People often say, Dan, can I do this if I'm more new? I don't have a lot of experience. Yes, you can start with like $5 a day, $1 a day in some cases. Start small, just get started. Go into Perry, talk to Kyler, and be able to get access to the definitive track. You can go look at, I think it's Dennis Yu talks about doing this on Twitter, and Liana Ling talks about doing this on Facebook, and Tom Breeze talks about doing this on YouTube for literally pennies per client, guys. You have access with some of the most valuable resources in the world right here. And I hope we're adding a little bit to it as well. And thank you, Perry, for giving me that opportunity. Next, build your campfire. You've seen this before. It's a simple page, and ideally you can take a picture of it, or when you get the slides, model this. This page converts at almost 65% with cold traffic for their target audience. It's just very simple. Here's another example. We have a checklist called the CEO's checklist, which the CEO's checklist was built. I wrote it for me because I'm not a traditional CEO. I wasn't schooled in it. Like I'm just a guy who, when I was 22 years old, I stopped college at the time and I went and started building businesses and haven't looked back since. I have a CEO checklist of my own right up here. Why? Because I need to keep on track. I'm not like, administrative CEO. Yet you need some of these things. And so it helps keep us on the rails. So this checklist converts at almost 65%. You can model this and put whatever your checklist is, whatever your problem that you solve, whatever it is designed to do, and be able to increase your conversion rates. Now, why are lead campaigns, lead machines, we call them, important? To create daily leads, more appointments, more clients every day. One, it's going to move a client the first step to progress with you. They're going to get them closer. It's all about building a relationship. If you think of a typical funnel, experts teach, fill the funnel, fill the funnel, fill the funnel. Generate leads. Well, it's not about just leads. You want to build relationships. Hop, humanize, optimize, personalize. That's what's going to make you stand out from everybody else who's automating themselves. Listen to me when I share this with you. This is critical. And Perry teaches this. I know at the Definitive AI, they talked a lot about this. Don't automate yourself out of business. It's happening everywhere. In the next 15 months, you're going to have a window that many of you, if you get ahead of this, like Perry's showing you and giving you access to be able to do it, what will end up happening is you're going to have the ability to go acquire some of those people because they've automated themselves right out of business. They fell in love with a tactic and not a principle-based framework. You have that right here, right now. Next, what the lead campaigns, these lead machines are designed to do, it helps solve a problem, a quick, simple problem. Gets them feeling closer to that emotion that we talked about earlier. It moves them from out there, these other platforms, to your platform. You want to move them to your platform. Think platform. Move from those platforms to your platform. Why? Again, so you can build relationships. You can build and facilitate relationships, which is what this covers. Facilitate building and deepening the relationship in your client journey. It gives you the ability to communicate with your potential clients, and that leads to conversions, right? So these all tie together like links in a chain. Like it's not, oh, do I do this first or do I do that first? No, you do them. It's all of the ways together, right? Do all of them together. So for example, with Jill here with her publicity action guide, we were generating $4.31 per lead because people want to know how to use PR to generate more business. This campaign, the CEO checklist, we've run this and some other campaigns for leads as little as $2.90. And the goal is not to be the cheapest, by the way. The goal is not to be the cheapest. It's to acquire a qualified lead relationship that you can go deeper with, that ultimately they become a buyer. And so it's the whole financial engineering that we talked about in the the original 8 in a vision process, where the math works or it doesn't. And we'll cover a little bit more of that here in a second. Here's a case study, for example, a small client. We were generating about 500 leads every month. And all we drove to a landing page. It went to a thank you page in the beginning stages. We sent out emails, once or twice a week in the beginning, and then ramped it up a little bit more to make more offers. And we like to call them invitations or offers. And they had more people buy. That's the simplicity of it. And again, when you combine all of these elements, it's not one or the other, it's an and, right? You have connection campaigns and lead machines and education-based events working together for you,
Dan,
not against you.
Back on, I think we lost your screen.
Thank you. Landing page, thank you, Perry. Thank you page and invitations, right? Pretty simple. All right. What would it do for you having a steady flow of 10, 20, 50, 100 new leads coming to you every day? More than you've got right now with simplicity and doing it with a positive ROI, right? Ideally, I challenge you to take what we're sharing with you and put some of these things in place, right? And that leads to education-based conversion events in the process. Now, there's all kinds of education-based events. We don't have time to go through all of them, but I want to give you 5 right here, right now to be thinking about. So we're on one right now as a webinar. This is an education-based event. Live trainings, challenges, workshops, and summits. Most people kind of connect the dots when we talk about education-based events, but You can just do video. We've got clients who've sold their companies with video. We've got clients who've sold all kinds of stuff with video. Appointments, you can build content pages. Think of like advertorials that are really designed to educate people. It's education-based marketing using digital assets, right? Video, non-video, audio, integrating different things, right? And again, there's probably another 30 or 40 that you can do. Now, why are education-based events critical? What do? They combine all the previous methods that we've talked about. It shortens the sales cycle. It can get you to your clients for literally pennies per client. It can get perfect clients on your list. It gets perfect clients to buy all at the same time. Like, that's the beauty of it. It collapses that time frame. It also, done correctly, can help your clients buy more. It can help you set the stage to sell your business or exit it if you want to. It boosts the long-term value of your clients. It helps you get referrals due to experience and consistency. It can be meaningful, memorable, and also allows you to build authority, and it can help you have a big impact with far less stress, especially once you do put it on an evergreen sell. An example, any of you know Daniel, Marcos, and Vern Harnish? If you do, can you type yes? If not, no big deal. Yes, I'd love to do that. Thank you, Perry. All right. Real quick, Daniel, when we met him, and I'm going to speed through these just for sake of time. And long and the short, we put the education-based event model in place, and we took him. The original expectation was to generate 100. That was the goal, 100 new clients in our high-level masterclass to set the stage for some other things that are part of their deeper programs. And we did an education-based event, had 5,000 registrations. We had 2,400 attend. They had 7,000 people actually watch the replay through their different parts of their list. They had over 85 applications, 46 enrollments for a very high level kind of program. And we actually didn't hit our original goal of 100. We helped them 4X that. And then we worked together for some time. We helped them double the business. And here's what this architecture looks like. You can take a picture. Again, we'll send the slides over to Perry so you can get it. But it was a landing page. Real simple. Here's the time and the place to meet. And then we hosted the training. We drove to a strategy call to make the invitation and the offer. And we had a series of things put in place to be able to grow, right? And that's something that you can do. And especially if you do know your long-term value, there's a lot of power in combining all of these factors. So how would all of these things impact you getting them in place? Your vision and growth plan, your connection campaigns, your lead machines, your education-based conversion events overall. And then we'll save time on going deep. But I will say this about going deep. If you want to add fuel to the fire, like look at what you're doing right now. And what could you do to double up by just doing more follow-up than you're doing by phone or text or email or all of it? With HOP, humanize, optimize, person, not necessarily relying on automation. You can use it, but also just genuinely following up more than you are now, or getting more partners involved in what you're doing, or making more offers. How many offers did you make this week? How many offers did you make last week? Well, what if you just made one more offer a week? What if you made two? How many offers is Apple making today? One every minute? Couple a minute? Why not duplicate some of that success? How about email? However many emails you're sending, like for example, Perry's one of the best in the world at sending out email and communicating what's going on. Well, what if you modeled what Perry's doing to communicate? And then lastly is productize. And that rounds out the 5 key steps in the model: vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based events, go deep. And if you put focus on this, how many more new clients a day or a week or a month or a year could you add? I'll cut it off there, Perry. Thank you.
We're at the top of the hour. I'd like to do just a few minutes of Q&A. I know Dan covered a huge amount of range, and if you just grab onto one of those things, you can easily make back your Renaissance Club membership. So if there's some questions, type the questions in the chat, and we'll just try to see if we can catch a couple of dangling participles. And I think that, so I wrote a chapter in somebody's book not too long ago, and I said, there's a social media kind of branding, and it's like the Joe Rogan thing that
Yep.
people do. And I'm going to have a selfie video running every time I'm driving my car, and I'm in a lake and I'm going to tweet, and I'm just going to go 100 miles an hour. And then there's another version, which is I've got an offer, I've got a landing page, just like what you showed me about a minute and a half ago. And I'm just going to try, if necessary, 30 different versions of that until I find something that clicks. And he said that the second version is infinitely easier to make work than the first. And it comes with education all along the way. And if you're doing that well, you'll still brand. So I'm not seeing any questions. So I think we can just wrap this. I really appreciate you coming on. As you can see, Dan is an encyclopedia of marketing histories and knowledge. I see a lot of people saying, I want to watch the replay of this because just one or two slides or 1 or 2 minutes of that is going to be perfect. So thank you. Appreciate it.
I'd love to just say, if you'd like to go deeper with this, right? If you'd like to go deeper with any of these strategies, we put together a special invitation for you, and being here as part of Perry's group. This book is now being released officially through you first. And so if you go to breakthrough3x.com/Perry, you take all these strategies at a deeper level. We've got a bonus bundle that we put together. And what I decided to do, I know you have your books that you give away for 99 cents. The way we've decided to do this is you name your price. When you go to the page at breakthrough3x.com/Perry, name your price, whatever that is. And also for every order, whether it's $1 or more, we are going to donate 10 meals to hungry kids here in our area where there's, you know, a food shortage. So if you're compelled to go deeper, you'd like to learn more, you'd like to get your hands on this new book, Direct Response Branding, go to breakthrough3x.com/Perry and let me know how you enjoy it.
And Dan, if somebody wants to reach out to you, could you put that, what you just put on the screen, Dan at breakthrough3x.com. There you go. Somebody was asking about being able to reach out. So Dan, thank you very much. That was a blistering amount of ground that you covered in 1 hour. So really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for being on today. Have a great afternoon. Appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.